I currently have two sheds and they are packed, and I want to get rid of two sheds and go to one shed. So how do I get from these two sheds to the one shed? Well, keep watching the video and I will show you. But first, I do want to mention that this is not an install video. I was going to do an install video, but the shed took a very long time to put together, and there are tons of videos, install videos on YouTube to show you how to put the shed together. Lifetime makes a very good install video, and I will post that in the description below, and that is the one that I used to guide me through the install on this shed. In this video, I will show you how the shed arrives. We will do the unboxing. I will show you some of the assembly, and then I will show you the completed shed. We will wrap up with my final thoughts and wrap up the video. So without further ado, let's begin. Before you begin any project like this, make sure you have the proper building permit and any other permits that you might need, such as homeowners association or anything like that, because you will need a foundation for the shed. Whether it's wood or concrete, you're going to need a foundation. Once you have what you need permit wise and you're ready to go, the first thing you're going to do, well, my foundation was wood, so I used wood, and here are the dimensions of the shed. So your platform should be 148 inches long by 93.5 inches wide, and that's from edge to edge. I use 2x4s for mine, two 2x4s at 12 foot long, and I had the rest of my 2x4s were 8 foot long, and I cut them down to 93. I'm sorry, I cut them down to 90.5 inches to make my studs, and I separate them by 16 inches apart. And the documentation, as you see in here, it's all in the manual, and it walks you through on how to do this. Just make sure you are leveling everything as you go along. And once you have your platform and all the studs in, make sure it is plumb from edge to edge. So from this edge to this edge, it should be the same measurement as from this edge to this edge. So all your measurements should line up, and make sure it is leveled. And then once it's leveled, you can lay down your plywood, and they do recommend you have at least 30 drainage holes, and that's going to help with drainage when it rains. So here is mine and how mine started to look. I have my 2x4s down, I have my frame out, everything is leveled, and you can see my 2x4s are 8 foot long, so I'm going to have to cut them to be 90.5 inches. And I also use those metal supports to help support the cross beams. In the corner, I used additional support brackets, and I want to zoom in here now, to help with support and stability of the frame. Now that your frame is down, you want to start laying out your plywood. And again, make sure it's leveled and square as you go along. Now the shed will arrive in two big boxes, and it will arrive by truck. And these boxes are heavy, so they weigh about 500 pounds. So make sure you have help in either moving them to where you need to go, or unboxing them and carrying the parts over to where it needed to be, which is what I did. So we unboxed everything and we carried everything in the backyard. And I did not put the shed together right away, so I used the bottom of the boxes to cover everything up. But it's pretty much what you see here is how it arrived. One box has some floor tile in it, or the floorboards, and the other had walls. So it was a mixture of both. So what I did, I took everything out and spread everything out onto the platform. And these are the metal pieces for the trusses. And these are all the parts that came with it in separate bags. And you can see here each bag is labeled. So the directions will point you to a letter of a bag that's going to be used for that part. And as you can see here, here's all the roof tile I have spread out. I wanted to keep everything together and everything as close to what I'm going to need together. And these are the shelves, and as you can see here, even the box is labeled with some letters, FFG. And once again, the directions will point you to what you need to use for that step. And the walls are also labeled as well. If you were like me, once you get everything unpackaged, you are anxious to put everything together. But I encourage you to deburr as much as you can before you put anything together, as I'm doing here. All you need is a little razor knife, and you're just going to clear out the holes of where the pieces connect together. If you don't do this, you're going to run into issues later on. And some of the issues you might run into, the pieces might not fit together correctly, and it could cause leaks, or you might have some uneven attachments. So just make sure you clear and deburr everything that you can. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to put the trusses together. And here are the trusses, and you're going to use parts from bag FFX. There are 4 trusses, and the one you're looking at here goes to the front of the shed to help support the doors. All of this is in the instruction manual, and if you follow it closely, you should be good. So once you have the floors down, you're going to start installing the walls. But before you install the walls, you're going to need to install these metal support brackets, which you see here in the video. So the shed is up. It took about 2 days to do with my wife's help. And here is a good shot of it. And here are the doors. It comes with a little tool pouch that you see here on the door. The shed door on the left door has locking latches at the bottom. And there's one at the top. One of the issues I had was the locking latch at the top really wouldn't line up to the bar where it locks into. And here's the locking latch on the front of the door, and there's the doors. The doors are pretty heavy, pretty sturdy, so it's a lot better than the doors that I had on my Rubbermaid shed. And there's a vent on the side of the shed, there's another vent, and there's the little clips you see here that I'm zooming in on. For some reason, I had issues clipping them into the shed. So I really had a struggle with that, and they're still not in there correctly. This shelving unit here is extra, and it does come with those little tool hooks that you see here, and it does come with actually it comes with 2 8-foot shelves. I just had an extra one that I ordered for my trimmer, and here are the trusses at the top. It has another vent on the other side of the wall, and there is the second 8-foot shelf. This video you see 3, and here are the labels of the walls. As I mentioned before, AG8, and the instruction manuals do refer to those letters on the walls in a certain section. The window raises and lowers, and it has 2 little locking latches on the side, or at the top. And it has skylights, 5 of them. So the shed is up, and as you can see, my wife liked to put some plants around it, which I think makes the shed pop a little. I'll put some white drainage rocks around it as well. And I made a little mini ramp to make it easier for me to get the lawnmower in and out. That little solar light above the window, you can get that from Amazon, and that works very well. And here is the shed full of stuff that I got from the other 2 sheds. And as you can see, I have a lot of stuff in here, and it's still very roomy. There are the 5 skylights, a little better shot at it. I have plenty of room in the shed. Shelves are wide enough to where I can hold my trimmers and still have extra space. Here's the top locking nuts that I had issues with. As you can see, it doesn't fully go into the hole in the bar, and I cannot figure out why. Even when I raise the door up, it's still not there. And I put little drainage holes in front of the doors as well. I noticed when it rained, the water rolled off the side of the shed and it accumulated right there at the base, and it did leak in a little bit, but since I put those drainage holes in, no issues. And here are those clips. You can see they're supposed to snap in and snap tight into the inside of the shed, but I couldn't get mine to snap in right, so they're barely on there. I have to figure out a way to make them more permanent. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It took about 2 days with my wife's help to get the shed in. And it's up and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to go through the pros and cons here and we're going to break it down. And again, this is not an install video. If you want to see an install video, Lifetime has a really good one that I followed to put this shed together. And I will have that in the link below. Also in the description, I'll have every tool that I used, so that'll be there as well. So off with the pros and cons. On with the pros and cons, and as always, I am going to start with the pros. It's packaged pretty well. It will arrive in 2 big boxes, and they weigh a little over, I would say, maybe 200 plus pounds a piece, and it's going to arrive by truck, so be aware of that. I had a lot of extra parts, which is pretty good, and what I mean by that is I had tons and tons and tons of screws left over. So these are all extra screws, so if you lose a screw here and there, don't worry about it, you're going to have plenty. Also, it does require some drill bits, and believe it or not, this kit comes with it. It comes with a Phillips drill bit, and it comes with a drill bit that you drill through the metal poles. So those parts are included. It also includes shims in case you need that as well. And all the parts were labeled pretty well, including the walls, and all the packages had labels on it as well, so you'll know what screws and what bags go to what section when you're putting the shed together. On with the cons. The instruction manual. Now, the instruction manual, at one point when I was putting the doors together, I was working on the left door, and then I turned the page, and all of a sudden I'm working on the right door, even though I haven't finished assembling the left door. And I kept flipping back and forth like that, and I don't know why. I would rather have complete one door before going on to the next one, but it wasn't like that in the instructions. And I followed the instructions to a T. But you really have to pay attention because some parts go on the left door and not the right, and vice versa. So just be aware of that. The roof assembly. The roof was a pain in the butt, even with help. So be aware of that. Make sure everything is leveled. Your base has to be as level as possible. Mine was off just a little bit, and even being off just that little bit, it caused issues when assembling the roof. So be aware of that. Be very careful with your leveling and make sure you're as close as possible. And that's pretty much it. Now the price of the shed, I'm seeing the prices jump all over the place. It goes anywhere from $2,200 to $3,500. The shed in this video, even with the extra shelves, I paid just under $2,500. So I wouldn't go and pay $3 grand for this shed. You're overpaying. Do your research, shop around. I do have a link to this to Amazon, and Amazon has other buying options, and that's where my price range I got from. I ordered this particular shed through Competitive Edge, which is through Amazon as well. Don't overpay for this shed. Like I said, everything in this video that you've seen with this shed, I paid just shy of $2,500. My final verdict. Like I rate everything on my channel, my verdicts are similar to Amazon. 1 star being the worst, to avoid, stay away, 5 star being the best. So far, I'm going to give this a 5 star. I really like the shed a lot. I had no issues with it other than the roof, and that was, I'm thinking, more on my part because my foundation wasn't as level as I wanted to be. Be that as it may, I love it. I'm able to put more stuff in the shed than I thought I could, and I still have plenty of room left over. It looks good. I'm happy with it, but time will tell. I might not be happy with this a year from now, but for right now, I've already had a shed for maybe less than a month, so it hasn't had any leaks or anything, so we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching this video. I appreciate all the comments. Again, if you are interested in the install portion of this video, I will have the link in the description below, which goes to Lifetime. Very, very good install video. They walk you through everything, and that's what I used to put this shed together. I will also have every tool that I used to assemble this shed with. I will also have that in the description below as well, so you know pretty much what you need if you buy this shed. Otherwise, that is it. So I'm going to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you all on the next video. Take care.